Hello and welcome to Fun Fold Friday. I'm Dorene Decibus and I'm from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and I'm so glad you're here to join me tonight on this pre-recorded version of Fun Fold Friday. So let's get started. I'm going to be making a fun fold tonight using the Earthen Textures bundle, and this is one of my favorite suites in the new catalog. I just love all aspects about it. So we're going to be using some of the die cuts. It comes with a variety of die cuts, so I'm going to be using several of these and some stamped images as well. So let's just move this out of the way so we can get started. So I just want to remind you that I will be posting all of the dimensions of the cardstock and designer series paper and the score lines in the comments on my Facebook page, and I'll be posting it in the description on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to, if you're watching this on Facebook, to say hello and tell me where you're watching from, and if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. So let's get started. So I am using tonight some Pretty Peacock cardstock. This measures 8 by 5 1/4, I believe. Let me just double check. Yes, 8 by 5 1/4. I'm also using a piece of the same color cardstock, but this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I have a smaller piece of cardstock that measures 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. Then I'm going to be using some of the designer series paper, Earthen Elegance. I'm using it all from one sheet, and this particular sheet has an ombre effect. So if you could imagine this piece being right on top of this as we go down, and so we start with the lighter color and we move all the way down to the darker color. So I'm going to be using a piece that's 2 1/2 by 4. This is a 3 1/2 inch square, and then this is a 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece. And then I'm going to just be putting a piece of basic white on the inside. I'm going to be using a much smaller piece, just a scrap off of the same designer series paper, to stamp my sentiment. I'm going to punch out of the designer series paper fern frond using the, and I've pre-done this obviously, using the Pretty Peacock paper. I'm going to get some of the other die cuts. I stamped using Pecan Pie, this fern, and then I stamped and die cut a vase, and I die cut a vase and a little piece, decorative piece, to go on it. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to start by cutting something first. So you're going to need your paper trimmer for this, and I am going to take this 3 1/2 inch square, and I am going to cut it right on the diagonal. So I'm going to line each corner into the track onto the paper cutter, make sure it's nice and even, and take my cutting blade and just cut straight down the middle. And then I am going to take the longer edge of this piece, and I am going to score it at 3/8 of an inch. I could probably score it at a 1/2 inch too, but I just want enough of this for the front of my card. So let me get to 3/8, make sure it's nice and straight, and make sure my scoring tool is what's going to be at the bottom of my paper cutter, and I will score that piece. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. So again, I'm scoring at 3/8 of an inch. All right. And then I'll just use the scoring tool on my paper cutter. I am going to score the card base to 4 inches. All right, we are set to go. Let's do some stamping before we put this all together. So my first bit of stamping is going to go on the inside of the card. You could use any piece of neutral cardstock that you want on the inside. I just chose some basic white, and I'm just going to take this fern frond and I'm going to stamp a couple of them in the right hand corner of the bottom of the card. There we go. Put that aside, and then I am going to be stamping a thank you for my greeting. And I am going to just stamp this right in the center. This is a 1/2 inch strip of the Designer Series paper. And let's see, that's kind of too low. I'm going to actually take my one I stamped earlier. It's a little more in the middle. I can't turn this one over because the back side is a darker design. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. And I did not do this in the middle, so let's... I'm going to be covering this up, so it's okay that I made that little mistake. Oh, I see what I did. We're just going to change that around. I didn't trim this correctly. I need to take a 1/2 inch off of this. That was my problem. I scored it correctly, but I didn't cut that one edge off. So I am going to go back to this first score line. I'm going to make this the front of my card because I'm going to cover this up. So if there's always a fix when you make a mistake in rubber stamping. So I'm going to take my piece of Designer Series paper. Let me just make sure I cut that at the right, perfect. And I'm going to add some adhesive to it. And I'm going to put this on the front of the card and try to line this up the best that I can so that I don't have any of the cardstock peeking through. Okay, there we go. That is the front of our card. Now, you're probably wondering, what is the fun fold? Well, the fun fold comes into play for these flaps. So what we're going to be doing is attaching this to the back of the card, and it's going to fold over. So as I look at this, you'll see that I do need to do some trimming. So I'm going to just do that trimming first thing. That's going to give us a better fit. It's almost there. I like to trim these before I attach it, so I have it at the size that I want it to be and have it centered. So I'm just cutting a little from each side, and that now looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to use my bone folder, and I am going to give this a nice crease, and then on the inside I'm going to be adding some adhesive. And this is, as I said, going to go on the back of the card. I'm going to be covering this up so you won't be able to see what I am putting here. So I just want to make sure it's lined up perfectly even and that it's going to fold over nicely. You can see how on the front it just blends right into that Designer Series paper. If I have a little piece hanging off the edge, that's okay. I can just snip it right off. going to do the same thing with my bottom edge. I'm going to trim it. And line it up. That looks good, so I'm going to fold it, and I am going to add my adhesive in. Now, Stampin' Up is having a special on select packages of designer series paper, and they are offering it for the month of June at 15% off. So this is a really good time to stock up on your designer series paper if you are needing some. I know I'm going to do some stocking up because I don't want to miss out. Okay, so now the inside of my card is going to get this piece here. There we go. And then let's do the front of our card now. So it's actually going to be 3 different folds. So this piece is going to go right on top of this, and I'll show you how that happens. Let's just get some of this out of the way. And I am going to start by adding my adhesive to this piece and put it right on the pretty peacock. There we go. And now I'm going to do some fooling around with all this stuff I pre-cut and pre-stamped. So I have this vase here that I want this fern to kind of be going off to the side, and then I'm going to want this smaller one to be coming on the inside of that, so they're overlapping a little bit. So I'm going to put some adhesive on the back, and I am going to put this piece on first, and then this piece on, I think I want this down just a tad more, and then this piece will go up a little more. There we go. So this is going to go somewhere about here. It's okay that this comes off the edge a little bit. It's going to do the same on the other side. And I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of this. I'm going to go down a little further because it's a longer vase. And I am going to have this piece tilt a little bit to the side, and this piece is going to come right in front of it. So let's get this on together. And those are much smaller pieces of cardstock. So there we go. So now let's put some adhesive right along the back of this vase. This vase is going to go right like this, and then this vase is going to just fit in nicely right here. And I don't have that all the way straight, so I'm just going to pick it up a little bit and move it so it is straight. And then we'll add some adhesive to this. Actually, I'm going to add some dimensionals. Let's pop it up a little bit. There we go. Love adding dimensions to my cards. All right, and this is going to go right here. So there's our label, and our label is going to go right across the front of the card. It's not already looking just beautiful. So I want to make sure, because I want this to fit into a regular envelope. So I am going to take, because if you remember I told you there'd be a backing on the card to cover up the designer series paper there and the fold. And I want the pretty peacock to show in the back, so I use the same color of, not even. It always takes me more than one attachment to get everything the way I want it to look. Just a little bit over on this side. Oh, much better. Alright, so when I attach this on top of this, I am going to want to attach it to just the top flap here. So I am going to add some adhesive right directly to the flap. I'm going to see if I need any more based on where I want it to sit. So maybe just one more strip up here, a little more right there, fill it in. And now I am going to place this on the front of the card. So now my card is going to open to the top, to the bottom, and then open to the side. Isn't that a great fun fold? So I'll show you that again. So it opens to the top, to the bottom, and then to the inside. So now let's get our greeting on. Whoops, let's close it the right way. And I am going to put the thank you right across the front. But what I'm going to do is just cut it at a slant. So I have a nice little edge on it. So I am going to put just some adhesive right in the center, and then I'm going to attach that to this, and then I am going to take a dimensional and put under this side to hold it up a little bit. I don't want that to go flat. Okay, there we have it. And that is our fun fold for tonight. So again, it uses the Earthen Elegance bundle, and or I guess you could say suite because it uses the paper too. I'm using the Pecan Pie Pretty Peacock Misty Moonlight. This is the Cajun Craze cardstock, a little bit of pecan pie there, and then the rest of the card is the designer series paper and the Pretty and Peacock cardstock. So I hope you've enjoyed tonight's fun fold, and I will be back next Friday for another edition of Fun Fold Friday. Have a great weekend and a great week ahead. Bye-bye, everybody.